For this portfolio, I'm going to be looking for you to talk to me about observations, interviews, and surveys. So I'm going to go over what each of these is briefly so that you can just summarize for me in your own words what I'm saying so that I can see that you understand. Okay, so personal observation, you have to actually see things on your own. So, in other words, these are the things that maybe you noticed, things that you recognized, right? These are insights. This is more for things that you would do if you were on the scene. If you were a reporter who was traveling to actually witness or to report back on something, that's occurring out in society. So that's what that's what personal observations are. Active observations are just different because you're actively asking questions. So you can be a personal observer as well as an active observer. If you're just watching, you would just be a personal observer. But if you're someone who's asking questions and interviewing people and trying to get more information, noticing the things that, like you're hearing, you're smelling, you're tasting, these are the things that will give you the details for any kind of article you might be writing. Surveys are ways that you can ask people questions, okay? And this is one of the things I want you to really be able to tell me in this portfolio is um, what's the difference between closed-ended questions and open-ended questions. So, right, we always want to try and seek a primary source, right? And if you are the one who is gathering statistics and putting things together and figuring things out, and then you come to some new conclusion about something in society or something about the world, that new conclusion, that makes you a primary source. You've come up with a new idea. You're the person putting this out there for the first time. So you'd be the primary source. So as the primary source, and you are also looking for other primary sources to get your information, you would only want people who you know. Or, well, okay, they're saying here to be careful, but they're saying just make sure, obviously, don't start emailing random people, right? But you want people who are primary sources. So if you have a friend who is involved in something, or a parent, or another adult that obviously, as students, we don't want you going out into the environment and just randomly talking to strangers. Okay, so we're going to keep this within the confines of people or information you can gather firsthand in a very safe way. Okay, so again, if you wanted to do a survey, you want to see how many people prefer cats over dogs, and then you could report back on that. You could send it to all your friends and relatives and have them do that survey. And then you could report back, say, 50 people were surveyed, or out of a survey of 20 people, this many like dogs versus cats. Okay, so surveys are just a way to ask people questions. Interviews are really important when you're asking people questions, and that's the key for this unit and this lesson. The difference between a closed-ended question and an open-ended question. Basically, closed-ended questions are yes and no. Closed-ended doesn't leave room for any kind of explanation or description or further understanding. This is just, what do you like better, cats or dogs? Blue or green, right? Things like that. Yes or no. Open-ended questions would be like, why do people prefer blue over green, or why do you believe, or what are the reasons behind? This gives us more details and more explanations, and really provide for a better interview, because then that gives you more information later to use while you're writing your article. Okay, so open-ended questions give a long, good explanation with lots of details. Closed-ended are good sometimes for some reasons, but those are just going to give you a one-word answer. And that's it. So for this portfolio, all I want you to do is talk about the difference between polls, surveys, and interviews. Okay, so we talked about all of this. Now you can find exactly what I want you to do on your lesson intro page. And I'm going to go back to that here. Let's go right to the lesson intro page. And here are the portfolio directions. Okay, so you don't have to go to the Pew Research Center if you don't want to. I'll probably actually take this off. By the time you look at this, I'll take this off. All I want you to do is think of an idea that would be a good poll, and then come up with some questions that you would use in a survey. So come up with some closed-ended questions, and then come up with some open-ended questions. So for the survey, you're going to come up with 5 closed-ended questions, and then for the interviews, you're going to come up with 5 open-ended questions. And that's all you need to do for this portfolio.